and sunbird from Seychelles. The sun spreads its rays freely on the island of Praslin, making a sky a deep cerulean blue, turning it to ultramarine, while the lagoons take their turn to shimmer in turquoise, jade and emerald shades. A lone white-tailed tropic bird circles almost like a small plane trying to spot a landing field. Julien redresses the bobbin of his fishing line. Today he's out to catch some large fish. He's hoping to get lucky on some sailfish, tuna, bonito, or maybe an emperor if he strikes lucky. His wife Marie-Ange is at home looking after their small baby girl and their grocery stall they have set up on the veranda. They manage to make a living when the catch is good, and he can sell it to the big hotels eager to buy fresh fish to serve to their customers. When the sea is rough in a cyclone, neither he nor Marie-Ange, his wife, can earn anything, as people prefer to stay at home rather than be roaming on the roads. They have a small vegetable patch, and they sell their products locally. People always need tomatoes, pumpkins, chayotes, brinjals, chilies, gourd, greens, onions, and occasional cabbage and cauliflower. Before leaving the house, Julien had consulted his uncle, who was a soothsayer and a healer. They also call him Bonhomme du Bois. He had told him to be careful. He might get a big catch, but he could also bring him something unexpected. Julien was only concerned whether he could have a big catch or not. What unexpected could he get from the sea apart from fish? Not worrying too much, he had packed himself a light lunch and some chilled sodas. The sea looked calm, and the fish were jumping every now and then. Flying fish are frequent in this part of the lagoon, which is also meant that shoals of fish were swimming underneath. A good sign. Julien, on the lookout, scanning the sea, felt an overwhelming peace take upon him. The sea looked so beautiful, the horizon always there, constant as a line to say that there's more to go beyond the sea. If only he could find some other jobs, he would never fish. Killing the sea creatures made him feel very sad. Each fish he brought on his line was always heartbreaking, and he wished he could throw it back in the sea. Suddenly, he saw a dark patch floating. He geared his boat towards it and saw a mass of entangled net some fishermen had left. Tangled inside was a sea turtle, trying to battle its way out. He leaned forward to try to catch the mass, but alas, it was too heavy. He decided to swim to it, and carrying his knife, he plunged towards it. Bobbing in and out, trying to breathe and holding the turtle in place to find where to cut the net. It was very risky. But he wasn't going to let the poor creature die. So he dived again and held his breath and managed to cut a chunk of the net which started distantangling. Hooray! The sea turtle almost seemed to be on the verge of giving up. It must have been swimming for a long time with its monstrosity around it and getting tired. A few more cuts here and there, keeping the turtle safe from the blade, she soon started to paddle its flippers. In a swish, it swam to the deeper waters. That day, Julien came back home with a tiny catch. But he wasn't sad. His wife gave him a forlorn look, but the young man's mind was elsewhere. All he could think was about the sea turtle trapped in the net. How many of them die like this? It was lucky that he was nearby. 2 months went by. Julien had given up on fishing and was working as a handyman in a hotel now. One day, his uncle met with him in the market. "So, how was the catch that day?" "Not good." "And did you meet something unexpected?" "Yes, I met a sea turtle." "And what happened?" "It's changed my life. I have stopped fishing now. I feel more at peace not to kill fish to make a living. I saved a sea turtle from entangled nets careless fishermen had thrown in the sea. It taught me a lesson that all living creatures deserve to live freely. Well, my boy, I told you something unexpected would happen. Maybe you need to reflect upon it, and the wisdom of the sea will shine upon you. It did, thought Julien when he left his uncle. Some days later, he was promoted as a tour guide for tourists in excursions on the island nearby. After a long day, he took the boat to check the gear and just laid quiet for a while, admiring the shimmering water of the lagoon when he heard a voice. He looked around, panicked, because he was alone on the boat, thinking it might be a spirit. He started reciting his prayers, but the voice called again, and he looked over the boat and saw a sea turtle.
"Hello, I am a friend of the sea turtle you say. Follow me, and I will take you to her."
Julien, in a daze, not even thinking how a turtle could speak, plunged head down in the crystal clear water and dived in with the creature. Soon under the water, the turtle took him on his back and swam to an infinite depth. But all the while, Julien could breathe easily underwater. So they arrived at a mass of rocks and caves. Heading to one of them, they crossed what seemed like a big portal, and there were in the most beautiful world of fish and all sea creatures swimming peacefully, a world full of colors, shining like stars which had plunged into the deep sea. A princess came out to greet him.
"I am the turtle you saved. I didn't thank you. I wanted to go and see what the world looked like, but was trapped in the fishing nets. Thank you for saving my life."
Julien was shown the magical kingdom and pampered with all sorts of foods, and he forgot about his family. 3 years passed, and one day he saw a cave that he had not been into. Through the door of the cave, he saw a reflection of his family and suddenly remembered them. He felt very homesick and wanted to go and see them. The princess, seeing his sadness, told him he could go. She gave him a box and said, "If ever you find yourself in a difficult situation, open it." Julien left and came to his village on land. He couldn't recognize his surroundings. He went to his house, and all that was there was a pile of rubble. No house, no family. He kept on asking people around, but no one seemed to know what he was talking about. He saw a shop owned by a Chinese and went in. He asked the shopkeeper. He got no answers from him. An old man, hearing his conversation, turned to him and said,
"Oh, that man who went to the sea and never came back. That's a very old story. How do you know it? You seem too young to know it."
"How old? Surely 3 years is not long."
300 years, not 3 years.
Julien realized that the 3 years he spent underwater was in fact 300 years. He started to cry and headed to the cemetery, trying to find names upon the tombs. He found the name of his wife and wept bitterly. Heartbroken and confused, he roamed aimlessly. He remembered the box that the princess had given him. He opened it, and suddenly he turned very, very, very old. He looked up at the sky and transformed into a tropic bird. And he spent hundreds of years circling high in the sky, trying to catch a glimpse of the sea turtle, which came often to the surface.